Welcome to week 6. I trust that your study has been productive so far. As always, we want to dive in and look at the quiz. So this is the quiz for week 6. So we'll be doing words 101. Get it where you can see the cursor. 101 through 125. We'll do the present the aorist active participle of luo, and then the declension of pos upon, which we're going to see that these endings are actually the same exact endings on pos upon, so we get 2 for 1 today. Then we have part 2 of this Ezekiel 36, 37 biblical theology that we got to look at, and we'll also do Luke 18:13, another wonderful verse, and then John 6:29. So let's look at the textbook, and let me pull it up where I can see it too. So as always, we'll start with the vocabulary. So this is week 6 vocabulary. And so we have the word meros, merus. So this is a third declension, and it means part or share. Ara is therefore. That's an interesting word. It occurs in that passage in Romans 7 and 8, where Paul's reasoning through his struggle with sin and then there being no condemnation. Amon is the possessive adjective, mine. Kraamai is to use, and I will use, I used, I have used, I used, aorist. This is deponent verb, so even though it's middle passive inform, it's active in meeting. We'll learn more about that later, but now if you just learn those. Duo comes straight into English, the dynamic duo from a previous generation. Chronos, we get the word chronology, and it's just a normal word for time. Isos is equal, and like that comes into English isotropic. Hatan is whenever. It's hata plus that hypothetical particle. Monon is only when it's used as an adverb. Oida, I know. Oida is translated I know. The form is actually a perfect, and so that's why you get these de-augmented infinitives and imperatives, and what would be the pluperfect form is actually just used as the imperfect. But if you just remember it, oidos, I know, that's a great starting point. Basileus is king, and mnemonic device basilica is related to a kingly ruler in Catholic theology. O is just O in English. Bulamai is I wish. This is a deponent verb. I will wish. I have wished. That seems a strange form. I got this from the Dickinson website. That looks like it's out of order to me, but I will, I willed. I'm not really sure why that one is there in that order. Phino is bring to light or appear. I will appear, I appeared, I have appeared, I've been made to appear, I was made to appear. Grapho is right. We get the word graphic from it. I write, I will write, I wrote, I have written, I have been written, I was written. Phara, oiso, and ninka. So this is a strange, go, went, gone verb. I carry, I will carry, I carried. I have carried, I have been carried, I was carried. Suke is soul. Psychology we get from it. Maydace, this is that haste me a hen word, and mayda is not. Itios is the word reason, like the reason for guilt, and so that's how this adjective becomes guilty. Pollen, we get like a palindrome, sentence that says the same thing forward and backwards. Malista is especially. Huparco is to exist, so I exist, I will exist, I existed, I have existed, I existed in the aorist passive. Strange form, I guess it occurs somewhere, but this one is the one that you want to make sure that you know. Arco, begin or rule. I begin, I will begin, I began, I have begun. Aorist passive, if you do it rule, I was ruled. Gune, gunaikos, straight into English. Then pate, at some time or ever. So straightforward words, 25 more. We're well on our way to learning the top 500. So we want to do the translations, and if we look at Logos, and let me pull it up on this monitor, we are starting with Ezekiel 37, 3. This is kind of the picture of the new covenant. So God outlined the new covenant into 36, and he gives us a picture of what it looks like. So beginning with verse 3, and we're in the Septuagint. And he said to me, O son of man, if these bones will live. He asked me, he said to me, will these bones live? If these bones will live. And I said, O Lord, you know these things. You know whether it will happen or not. And he said to me, and it's capitalized because it's the beginning of a quote, prophesy upon these bones, and you will say to them, quote, the bones, the dry one, plural dry ones, and it's capitalized, and so I think it's direct address, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Kurios, and that's typical when you have the tetragrammaton, no definite article in the Septuagint. Kurios says the following things to these bones. Behold, I am bearing into you spirit of life. Similar to God breathing into Adam. Eve is called life. Paul talks about the spirit of life in Romans 7 and 8. I will bear into you spirit of life, and I will give upon you sinews, and I will lead upon you sarks, and this is in plural, so skin coverings, and I will stretch out upon you derma, so we get like dermatology from it, and I will give my spirit into you, and you will live. Of course, this is echoing the promises of the new covenant in 36. And you will know that I'm the Lord. Verse 7, and I prophesied just as he commanded me, and it came about in the thee, me to prophesy. So this is a definite article and an infinitive. So that's an articular infinitive. That's kind of a Jewish thing. Happens in Hebrew. It happens in New Testament writings as well. And so here it is in the Septuagint. In the thee, me to prophesy. So I think you translate that in English. While I prophesied, even behold an earthquake. And he led the bones, each one to its harmony, to its appointed place. And I saw and behold on them were sinews, and so I looked, behold upon them sinews and flesh. They were springing up, and there went up upon them derma over the top, and spirit was not, pneuma was not in them. And he said to me, prophesy, O son of man, prophesy upon the pneuma, and say to the pneuma, the following thing says kurios, from the four pneumas, and I think they're from the four winds or from the four corners of the universe, come and emphusiao, that's our creational word, it's our John 20 word, emphusiao into these dead ones, and they will live. And I prophesied just as he commanded, and there went into them pneuma, the pneuma, and they lived, and they stood on their feet, a synagogue, pale, a mega, an exceedingly great synagogue. So that's our Ezekiel passage. Nice long passage, beautiful picture of the promises in Ezekiel 36. And then we have for our reading Luke 18:13. And this says, the tax gatherer from far off, having stood, this is perfect participle, was not willing, from Thelo, and Zerwick gives us nice explanation here. Make sure you always use Zerwick and always read it through with John Swant's read aloud. He was not willing, not even the eyes, to lift up into heaven, but kept beating his breast, saying, Ha theos, O God, be made merciful. There's our theti ending again. Be made merciful to me, the sinner. I don't know why some English translate that a sinner, but it's the sinner of all sinners. A wonderful verse. That's included in the ones I pray through. I try to pray through that every day. And then our last passage is John 6:29. And Jesus replied and said to them, this is the work of God, in order that you all should believe, into whom that one sent. So there's your temporal augment. Apostello is the verb. When you put the temporal augment, you put it before the verb stem, not before the preposition. Believe into the one that one sent. Then we should look at our textbook. And let me bring that back up. So what we're learning is the aorist participle. These are the endings. So it's that third declension standard ending in masculine and neuter. sa, santa, santi. If you look at pas, pas, upon, those same endings except with a pi. So this is the word all, every man, every woman, everything, and all in the plural. Pretty straightforward. The only last thing I want us to look at is I do have this review document for the final, and so you want to make sure that you go back and you reread the stuff we did. So the sight words, angelos, aether, anthropos, axioma, a lot of those should probably seem a lot more familiar now. Paulos, Pericles, Sophocles, Philippos. Our John reading, I think I added a little extra here in The Life Was the Light of mankind. The light in the darkness shines, and the darkness did not overcome it. So you want to just start rereading these and get to the place where you can just sit down and, in 25 minutes, read everything that we've done before. That's kind of what helps you transition from, solving little puzzles to actually reading. And so I think in this document are all the readings for all the weeks, so you can kind of go over that. And I think if you do, you're going to realize, hey, I am learning more of this than I thought. So that's what I have, week 6. Hope you have a great rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.